September in Toronto. A return to old routines, a slight nip in the air, and time to catch a movie, or 10. The Toronto International Film Festival returns in force tonight. Mike Wise joins us live from Roy Thomson Hall, where they've rolled out the red carpet. Mike?
They certainly have, Robin. They have the red carpet here because Roy Thomson Hall is really the headquarters for the festival's galas, where they show important films and they bring out a guest list of top stars who roll up in limousines and all those sort of things. You see, the festival has really cemented Toronto's reputation as Hollywood North over the years, and this is a bit of an important year for the festival. It's anniversary year, its birthday, 25, a quarter of a century. And with that big milestone this year has come a lot of reminiscing, looking back at where the festival came from and wondering where it's heading. It's always been hard to try to sum up the Toronto International Film Festival. For some, it's about catching obscure movies before anyone else, but for others, it's about the Hollywood stars and lavish parties. Three faces at many of them are the original founders of the festival: Dusty Cole, Bill Marshall, and Henk van der Kolk. They say the idea for Toronto's festival came when Cole accidentally stopped in at a small town in southern France 40 years ago.
And I parked the car and found myself in front of the Carlton Hotel at the time of the 1960 International Cannes Film Festival. And I was just like a kid in the circus.
Cole became a regular, and when he met up with other Torontonians interested in starting something similar in Toronto in the 1970s, the Festival of Festivals was born. It called upon Cole's success in throwing parties in France to attract patrons to party in Toronto.
The Toronto Festival, the organizers, and this goes right through to the present day, have always known how to throw a good party.
Maclean's magazine film critic Brian D. Johnson documents the history of the festival in his new book, Brave Films, Wild Nights. Both the public schmooze fests and the private hotel room parties and goings-ons that immortalized the festival for many.
I went to New York, London, Paris, talked to filmmakers, and they all kept saying, "Oh, I remember the days of the hospitality suite, you know?" And it was like the summer of love or something, the way they talk about it. I mean, I'm sure totally mythologized in their mind.
This is one of the world's major film festivals, and it's far and away the best attended.
But even from the beginning, the festival was a hit with its fans. Usually.
I am very upset. I am very shocked at the way this whole thing was managed.
This 1978 premiere of the Canadian film In Praise of Older Women was overbooked, making for angry crowds and forcing an emergency second screening. The reason? Another hallmark of the early years of the festival, run-ins with the Ontario Film Censorship Board, who, for the first 12 years of the festival, often demanded graphic scenes be cut from festival movies.
He checked it off, but I guess he'll sit here and make sure there's no hanky-panky switcheroo.
The festival was called the Festival of Festivals because it was organized as a showcase of the best films from other festivals. It also offered retrospectives dedicated to individual filmmakers. It's also done a lot to promote Canadian films, opening the festival each year with a Canadian Film Gala, putting them on par with big Hollywood galas. But even as it came into its own and changed its name to the Toronto International Film Festival in the 90s, the job of programming the festival has always been a balance between Hollywood, Canada, and smaller films just waiting to be discovered.
I think the problem with the industrialization of the festival and of the industry itself is that, you know, there is still this massive, obscure, but, you know, talented stuff out there that doesn't get the attention it deserves because there's all this focus on the hot stuff.
Recently, Toronto has been a good predictor of what is hot. Movies like Shine, American Beauty, and LA Confidential got gala debuts here. But for each of them, there's been hype around movies like Breakfast of Champions and Jacob the Liar, films that never really caught on with anybody. And ultimately, Johnson says those big failures hurt the festival.
I think the festival has to, you know, try to, I mean, basically they can't program bad films. They shouldn't program bad films. And often the Hollywood Gala will come to them sight unseen with a promise of delivering stars, and they'll program it, taking a risk. That way you risk alienating your audience, cheapening the program.
So a number of questions to ask about this year's festival. Which films are going to emerge to critical acclaim? Which films are going to have audiences clapping and applauding? And which ones are they going to be warning their friends to completely avoid? Well, there are 329 films in this year's film festival spread over 10 days, so we've got some while to go before we know the answers to those questions. Still, we do have some indication of some things to look forward to. We'll have a look at some of those films when we come back.
One of the world's greatest love stories.
I don't want you to go. Do you love me?
Tolstoy's Anna Karenina, starting Sunday on CBC.
Since 1988, Petro-Canada's Olympic Torch Scholarship Fund has raised $11 million to help almost 2,000 of our athletes to realize their dreams.
Your $1,000 check, Mr. Brown. Your $1,000 check, Mr. Brown. Your $1,000 check, Mr. Brown.
Congratulations to the first 15 Cash for Life top prize winners. And there's been over $60 million in additional winnings across Ontario.
Your $1,000 check, Mr. Brown.
Fantastic! $1,000 a week for life. The new Cash for Life lottery. Play now, win for life.
I'm on my way back from Mexicana. We've been building and clearing our warehouse. Our Mexicana sale has TV corners $159, armoire $699, dining from $899, with buffet $12.99, bedroom $19.95. I'm coming home with accent tables $79, box coffee tables $199, TV armoire $499. Mexicana, on for a limited time.
Introducing the most powerful V6 sport utility. The new 250 horsepower Nissan Pathfinder. Power changes everything.
Welcome back. Let's go right back over to Roy Thompson Hall, where Mike Wise is live from the Toronto International Film Festival. And this time, Mike, you're going to look ahead for us.
Yeah, a number of films. Actually, you know, so many films happening this week in the next 10 days. I would have loved to have gone and seen them all, but couldn't convince the boss to do that. But I've seen about 5 leading up in some of the media screenings beforehand. A number of my colleagues up at CBC News World had done the same thing. We sort of compiled a list of films we think you should look for that you might hear from once the festival is over. We'll start it with actually what's opening the film festival tonight, the opening night gala, a Canadian film, Denis Arcand's Stardom. Stardom closed the Cannes Film Festival earlier in the summer. Now it's being chosen to open Toronto's festival. It is a general satire of media and celebrities, the story of a young hockey player turned model who rockets to a top international career. The things the movie makes fun of are nothing really new. What is interesting is that most of the movie is told through fake TV and documentary clips.
That's the advantage of being beautiful. You can say anything you want and get away with it.
There's a gala tomorrow night for one of the bigger Hollywood films at the festival, Almost Famous. It's from Cameron Crowe, the writer and director of Jerry Maguire. This movie is about rock and roll groupies in the 70s and a young fan who becomes a writer for Rolling Stone magazine.
Well, don't just stand there, Elliot.
One movie getting a lot of buzz is Billy Elliot, a British film about an 11-year-old boy who wants to give up boxing to become a ballet dancer. He ends up facing all the typical grief that any 11-year-old male ballet dancer faces.
Lads do football or boxing or wrestling, not ballet.
Finally, there's Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, a 21st century update of a popular Chinese action film genre, the wuxia film. It's an epic romance about a class of honorable warriors living in the time of Confucius, martial arts experts with the ability to fly. It's by director Ang Lee, the man behind The Ice Storm and Sense and Sensibility, and it stars Hong Kong action heroes Chow Yun-fat and Michelle Yeoh. I don't know, Robin, can you tell that was my pick? It's all in Chinese, though, with subtitles. Don't know how it'll do commercially here, though.
I can tell it was your pick, definitely. But back to the festival's silver anniversary. Is there anything special planned?
Actually, yeah, what the festival's done this year is they commissioned a series of short films to play before the major screenings of the films this year. Short films done by some top Canadian directors, everyone from Adam McGoyan, David Cronenberg, Patricia Rozema, sort of summing up their experiences with the festival. They'll be shown, and imagine there'll be some extra things thrown in some of the parties as well, Robin. So look at the festival for tonight.
Time now for business news. This week's slump on Toronto markets continues. The TSE was down for the third day in a row. That's down more than 300 points in the last 3 days. The Dow dipped by about 50 points, evening out yesterday's gains. Tech stocks recovered slightly from yesterday's drop in the Nasdaq, closing at almost 4,100 points. And the dollar was up 0.2 cents, closing at 67.7 cents US. And let's go back down to Bill Lawrence now for a look at temperatures across the province. Bill?
Indeedy. Well, here it's bright and breezy, and let's just do that. Around we go. Let's head over to the Ottawa Valley, and the temperature there under sunny skies this afternoon was running around the 24-degree mark. That's a couple of degrees above the normal for this time of year. A similar story around Sault Ste. Marie. And as you go right up through the North Country, around Sudbury and North Bay, and all the way up to Timmins and Kirkland Lake and Gore Bay and New Liskeard this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies, temperatures near 22 degrees. All the way up at Moosonee, it was sunny and 20. Thunder Bay overcast and not far from 22 degrees. And Geraldton and Terrace Bay were also cloudy, and temperatures at the eastern end of Superior around the 15-degree mark. Here in southern Ontario, under mainly sunny skies with light winds, temperatures climbed up into the mid-20s. Those winds have now increased. That means there's something coming at us from the west. Let's just check the forecast and see what that is. Clear skies tonight. And the temperature will hold at about 16 degrees. Then increasing cloudiness tomorrow. There's about a 40% chance of a shower or perhaps a thunderstorm, widely scattered variety. Tomorrow's high near 24 degrees. Hey, we're starting to think weekend now, aren't we? Well, it shapes up as a pretty fine one. Across much of southern and central Ontario, mainly partly cloudy conditions in most areas right through the weekend and on into the brand new week. Under variable skies, temperatures across all of southern Ontario are expected to be around the 25, 26-degree mark. That's a couple of degrees above the normal. So we have a bit of cloud for tomorrow, and then some pretty fine weather for the next 3 days. Robin?
Sounds good to me, Bill. Thanks a lot.
Right.
And that's our program for this Thursday, September 7th. I'm Robin Smythe. For everyone here, thanks for watching. Have a great night.
Canada's newscast.
For us, it's pretty simple. We're there to tell Canadians what's important about what happened in that day. And at the end of the day, if we've done that, we've done our job.
The National